At the time, we had one son who was one, and we now have two. And our biggest pull is getting me away from that W-2 and getting him off the road with home inspecting so that we can be with our family. And the plan that we put together with Michael and Katrina, she was like, realistically, you need 5 units to make that happen. That's not hard to do. This is how you do it. This is the time frame I think you could do it by. And here we are a year later. We just launched our 4th property, and we have 5 and 6 in the pipeline. And it's like, we're doing it. Like, oh my gosh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, this is for real, you know?
So Jesse and Rachel came across BNB Bootcamp about 1.5 years ago on the channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you guys went through the course. So we love bringing folks on that have actually taken the action step. You guys have gone through the course. You guys have come out on the other side, and we'd love to hear the kind of good, the bad, and the ugly. So that being said, we've got Jesse and Rachel Hastings from Orlando, Florida. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is take 2. We tried with y'all yesterday, and unfortunately we had some weather occurrences. That being in Florida, we're all accustomed to that. So thanks again for your time today, guys. So let's go ahead and kind of dive right in. So I understand that you guys do not have a real estate background, which is not necessarily uncommon. A lot of folks that go through this don't have, some extensive real estate career prior to it. And you guys can speak volumes on that. What's your kind of past life look like? Did you have any real estate experience other than buying your own homes? If you could kind of shine some light on your backgrounds.
Yeah, no real estate experience at all for either of us, actually.
Yeah.
I've owned my own business in one form or another since I was 23. Just 3 or 4 different companies that I've had. Currently have a home inspection company, and then do some business brokerage as well on the sides. Then obviously we do this, but coming into this, like I said, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we saw Michael and Katrina do an interview on this channel. So it's kind of surreal to like be, a quote unquote success story with them on the channel that I first saw them. Is pretty cool. And just, reached out to them and had a conversation. Prior to telling Rachel, I wanted to, it's kind of like my own little vetting process with them, and then brought Rachel on. We had a conversation, and we just gelled, and we knew we wanted to do something with them as a couple, and went through the process.
Yeah. I think for us, he's been a business owner for a decade since I've known him, and my background's a little bit more corporate, doing the whole W-2 thing, but we have always been super family oriented and always knew that we wanted to do something that was our own, that would give us more time and more flexibility. And didn't know exactly what that was going to be. And like he said, literally no prior experience in real estate, still haven't bought our first home. We've been renting for forever. So our prior knowledge was pretty much slim to none. And so Jesse had been kind of scouring YouTube and came across a video that you had done, an interview with them. And he ended up having a conversation with them, felt like things went really well, and then told me about it. And I was a little skeptical because I was like, we have no experience in this. Why do you want to start a new business venture? But I trusted the confidence that he had in them from that first conversation. And so we got on a call with them, and just seeing how real they were and what they'd been able to put together. It gave me a lot of confidence to feel like we could be successful in something like this, having the depth of coaching that they were willing to provide.
And I appreciate that backstory, guys. And that is really a cool story. So you guys have actually come full circle today. So just over a year ago, you guys were sitting on the other end of this, watching videos and wondering whether or not it's going to be a good fit for you. And here you guys are today, just over a year later. You guys are the success story. So very cool, very cool. So like a smart husband, Jesse gone out and done all the research in advance rather than just try and plow ahead with something. So kudos to you, Jesse, for that foresight. So he brings this to you. You guys have no real estate experience. You're probably a little bit surprised, although, it's my understanding Jesse's a little bit of a YouTube junkie. So, him kind of surfing around and kind of finding ideas is probably not uncommon. So to that point, when he does bring an idea like this, and he has done, some element of research and due diligence already, obviously at that point, he felt comfortable, brings you in, you guys have that phone call. What happens a lot of times with folks is, even though they kind of have the feel goods or the warm and fuzzies, whatever you want to call it, then they just start to continue to analyze. We call that, paralysis by analysis. How did you guys avoid that? What was that kind of aha moment, or was there one, after you guys had that initial phone call and you guys obviously put your heads back together, what was it that made you guys pull the trigger and not stay on the sidelines and continue to research and research and research, and ultimately just pass on the opportunity because you just couldn't pull that trigger?
Yeah. Do you want to, I mean, for me personally, I feel like we've tried a handful of things prior to this, again, wanting to build something of our own. And so we were very hungry for that next opportunity. And when I do respect the fact that he did some research into the industry, and it wasn't just Michael and Katrina that he had vetted, so to speak. He talked to one or two other, other people out there who have figured out a similar type of program, but he felt the most confident with what they brought to the table. And so we talked about it. And again, it was really the connection that they brought to the table, because, you can get information from anybody, but if you're going to be coached by somebody, you want to feel like they have your best interest at heart. And we did. We
just connected with them. Obviously they're very professional. They know what they're doing. They have a plan, and they're not just, they don't have a theory of what works, what doesn't work. They have experience, like they know what they're doing. And so that, coupled with, they're a couple. And so we connected with that, obviously, and just easy to talk to. And they knew what they were doing. So it's just a good vibe from the beginning.
Well, and I feel like too, he's always been very entrepreneurial minded, whereas I'm a little bit more like, I need how-tos and where to goes and what to say. Like that is my comfort zone.
It's the yin yang, right? One of these.
They say you need one of each.
Yep.
And so that was something that I feel like I gained a lot of comfort in talking to them versus maybe the one or two of the people that he'd spoken with, was that their course and their program is not just super comprehensive, but they make themselves available to you at every beck and call, for a 4-month period.
Yeah.
And then of course we have access to them pretty much indefinitely afterwards, but for a 4-month guarantee, if I had a question, if I didn't know how to answer something, if I didn't know how to prospect, to price something, whatever, they were there and they were available.
Yeah.
And that made me feel like they were really willing to get in the trenches with us. And I felt really good about that.
Yeah, that customer service component is something we always preach here on the channel, and that's why we continue to bring them back on. If we were getting poor reviews, or they're not responding, or their team's not responding to emails or phone calls, we're going to hear about it. And you know what? If we continue to hear about it, then they wouldn't be featured here on the channel. We've never heard one complaint like that. It's always the exact opposite, almost the extreme opposite of that, which we love, and we know that it takes a lot of hard work and dedication on their part. But they do believe so much about this and so deeply in their students. So we do know that they go, really above and beyond. And I really can't, understate enough or overstate enough doing business with people that get along with, right? If you're going to be on the phone and you're going to be interacting, whether it's a coaching capacity or, a partnership or all of the above, if you're going to be doing commerce with someone or coaching with someone, do it with people you want to do business with, people that you're going to enjoy talking to, people that you're not going to dodge, when those accountability calls come. All of those are going to lead to the success, because you guys probably enjoyed the calls. You looked forward to them. You didn't want to let them down. You wanted to do the homework. You wanted to be prepared. You wanted to be successful, not only for you guys, but you wanted to probably make them proud. I assume there's some element of that involved.
100%. I mean, yeah, that's what comes, I feel like, with the mentor-mentee relationship is, there's an element of you that you want to be coached, you want to be made better. I played sports my whole life too, so coaching, it comes natural. Being coached comes natural to me, and so you always want to make them proud. It's like when you don't feel like doing something, you'll do more for other people, I feel like, than you will for yourself a lot of times. And whether it be a spouse or a mentor, and it definitely helped. And again, they were there every step of the way. Rachel took full advantage of all the
I know, I was that girl. I was like, y'all, I'm sorry. It's me again. Hi. But they made me feel so great about that. And
they were awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it was really a true partnership. It wasn't we signed up, we paid a price, they gave us vague information. It was like, they were checking up on us when I hadn't even reached out, which I really appreciated.
Because there's been times, other businesses where you pay for something and it's kind of like, it's almost the end of the relationship is when you pay for it.
Well, I mean, that's the sad truth, once, and I'm not certainly calling out any specific organization, but yeah, once they get the money, it's, on to the next transaction, as opposed to obviously servicing, your brand new client, that you want it to really do well. So they've always done a phenomenal job really with that. So just over a year ago, you guys got involved with BNB Bootcamp. Let's fast forward the tape to today. What's different in your world, personally and professionally, from when you guys were first exposed to them to, present day on this video?
Yeah, not scared to death of the Airbnb industry. That's for one. Because when we first got started, we had no idea what we were doing. We got our first deal, and I was like, hopefully we can just get a booking. Like we were just hoping for a booking and not having to pay rent every month on something that had no occupancy. So we know what we're doing a little bit now. We're a little more comfortable with it.
I think what's really cool, again, with the whole coming full circle thing, is something that Michael and Katrina do with any new student is they take a lot of time in the beginning to talk about what are your goals? Why are you interested in our program? Let's realistically see, can we help you? And what would that take to accomplish whatever the goal might be? And for us, at the time we had one son who was 1, and we now have 2. And our biggest pull is getting me away from that W-2 and getting him off the road with home inspecting so that we can be with our family. And the plan that we put together with Michael and Katrina, she was like, realistically, you need 5 units to make that happen. That's not hard to do. This is how you do it. This is the time frame I think you could do it by. And here we are a year later. We just launched our 4th property, and we have 5 and 6 in the pipeline. And it's like, we're doing it. Like, oh my gosh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, this is for real, that's where we are today. Is like, we are on the cusp of what we talked about could happen if we just did the work.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys set the goals up front. That was part of, kind of the exploratory calls with them, or at least kind of the intro into the coaching program is, what were the expectations? What were you guys looking to accomplish? Put the roadmap, put the goals in place. You said 5 houses, and in less than 12 months, you guys, or about 12 months, you guys have accomplished that goal, it sounds like already. Are you guys still in the same professional space that you were before? Has one of you guys transitioned more so into this, or are you guys still kind of splitting time on this and doing what you were doing previously, or what's the update on that?
Yeah, we're still in the same professions. We've actually added another profession outside of that.
Not a life and
because this isn't enough. You need more, right?
So just keep adding another source. And then another baby, and then we moved. All within the last year. So it's been
small life changes.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
No, it sounds like everything's exactly the same as it was 12 months ago.
Yeah. I think that's one of the cool things. And I feel like, man, I can't count the number of times that I have said to him, because we have a 2-month-old now, which any new parents know that's a handful, and that's incredibly time consuming. Add a toddler on top of that. Something I've said that I've been so thankful for with BNB Bootcamp is the automation processes that they taught us how to put in place, because my brain has not been able to be as focused as I'd like to be on expansion and scaling. But even still, running at half capacity, we've almost hit our goal. And it's because we've been able to pull ourselves away from the day-to-day in a large sense, using the software and the messaging and the templates and everything that Michael and Katrina provided for us. So I feel like to this day, we're still logging into the system that they gave us as newbies and being able to reference, oh yeah, this is what we need to do for this. Let's plug and play, set it up. Took us half a day to get this new unit live and running. And we just got a 10-day booking for it. Went live yesterday. So it's like, this stuff works.
Guys, if you're watching and you know that this may be of interest to you, or you've already seen the videos before, you've been on the fence, and now you know it's time to take action, go ahead and email bnbbootcamp@vipfinancialeducation.com. We'll go ahead and drop that link below. Be sure to include your first, your last name, the best number to reach you at, and conversation in the subject line, and someone from Michael and Katrina's team will be back in touch with you right away to have an exploratory call and see if it is a good fit or not. So guys, people that are watching, they want to know kind of when the rubber meets the road. Let's talk about the properties right now. You guys mentioned that you had 4, you got, or just put a 4th one together. You have 2 in the pipeline. Let's talk about those first 4. If you could break down the specific properties 1 through 4, what those deals kind of look like, maybe kind of some generalities or an overview on each one, how they got put together. That would be a great start.
Yeah, sure. So I printed out our little QuickBooks page here. So I got the numbers handy. But our first one, we went live with them July, I think. And so we were booking it. We were we were contacting 10, we were reaching out to like 10 people a day each to try to get our first one. Again, we were scared to death. We had no idea what we were doing. But our first one was,
we had templates.
We had templates and we had Michael.
Right.
That's what in our back pocket. And so we leveraged their credibility when we were talking to people, because we didn't have any credibility at the time. So our first one was our best, is our best performing one so far. So it's cool because literally August to now, just wrapping in August. So in the last 12 months, that property did about 76,000 in top line revenue. So obviously you got expenses in that, but that one, so we're netting with that one, we're probably netting anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 a month. And you know, we both had, obviously we have stuff we're doing outside of this, so we necessarily didn't need that at the time. So we just kept putting that back into the business. We paid for all of our furnishings that we furnished the spot with. And then that kind of snowballed. We took the profits, we let that build up, and then go into our next unit 3 months later, I think. We got it in December. Our next unit. The next unit was a triplex actually. And
well, before we go into that, I will say our first, so that first place, it was a 2.5 townhome. We had to fully furnish the whole thing, that was a project. Yes. But Michael and Katrina had given us a roadmap on how to best go about doing that financially, what that would look like. And that was an arbitrage deal. So what's cool is that she put a lot of faith in us. She really we couldn't have asked for a better first landlord to be working with. And she has since renewed us for another year because things went so well. With
a partnership now. We switched over to a partnership with her now.
Right.
Fantastic. And guys that are just watching these videos for the first time, there's a difference between an arbitrage, a partnership. We'll drop that link below. There's some distinct differences between them. You are not having to go out with either one of the models and lay a ton of cash on the table and actually go out and buy properties. One, you are having to do some furnishings up front, which is what they're talking about right now. The other, you don't. We won't go down that rabbit hole now, but we'll drop videos for people to check out. So, okay, so that's number one. Right out of the gate, you guys hit home run.
Yeah, well, it started up a little slow. It's like
on your first property, right?
On the first one. Yeah. Because it took like 2 days to get a booking, and those are like the longest 2 days of our life.
The anxiety.
We're like, oh my God, this doesn't work. Like it's not, it sucks. But our first booking was like 2 weeks, and then that covered the whole August, and then we kind of kept rolling from there. But so that one, and then the next one was a triplex. And the landlord, we again had gotten in the mode of just reaching out to 10 people a day. I had reached out to this guy like 2 weeks prior, and he blew me off. And then 2 weeks later, I guess his tenant had fell through. And so he reached back out, and he wanted to give us a 3-month trial. And so we went live with him in January and did well enough, I guess, for him to extend us. So we did a year extension, and that was a partnership. So that was another partnership with him.
And that's something nice about that. I feel like we started super heavy with number one, with it being arbitrage. You have to fully furnish it yourself. Like anything that you need to know how to do, we had to do. We did it all, boots on the ground. Whereas it was almost like a breath of fresh air with this second property. It was already fully furnished. All it needed were some bells and whistles, some decor and whatnot, which we only had to put maybe like $2,000 into it. We made that back extremely quickly. And again, he was so impressed, or, pleasantly surprised with the 3-month trial that he'd given us. He extended us for another year. And this fourth unit that we just launched is actually the second unit in his triplex. He lives in the third. But yeah, he was like, you guys did a great job. I want you to take this next one over and let's see what we can do.
Yep.
What do you guys cash flow in a month on each one of those units?
So
assuming the second one does as well as the first, what were you guys doing on the first unit?
They're doing about 1,000 to 2,000 a month, and that one is over by the beach, so that one does pretty good for us.
Because something Michael and Katrina really preached in our training is, any unit that you take on, you want to make it worth your time. So you want to be making, at minimum $1,000 per unit, just with what goes into the maintenance of it or the management of it. And so we've definitely been hitting that with all of these, exceeding it definitely with the first unit.
First one, yeah.
Love it. Okay, so there's 2 and 3, and then what's the breakdown on 4?
So we took So what we did is we kept snowballing our profits. So we kept piling up. That paid for the furnishings for the second one. We let that build back up, and then we went out and we got another place like in downtown Orlando area. Nice little 2-1. That one's a kind of a different. So we had a realtor friend that loved what we were doing and started kind of going to bat for us on behalf of us and reaching out to people for us in expectation of like a referral fee.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually found us at the next deal that is an arbitrage. And then we also do a referral with him on a monthly basis. So that one is like a little 2-1. That one, we just launched that in April or May.
Mm-hmm. No, April. Yeah.
Middle of April. So just a few months. That one's already done about 18,000 for us. And the one we launched in January has already done just under 44,000. It's like 43.7, 43.3. And the downtown one, we cash flow about $1,000
Mm-hmm.
on that one.
How much? So I assume that part of the coaching is they recommend that you make 10 calls a day. That's the first I've heard of that. I think that's or is that just your guys' kind of own model there? Because you're moving the needle every single day. So if someone says, "Hey, I'm going to make 100 phone calls today," the reality is that might not get done, but 10 is very manageable. So every day you guys are constantly kind of improving that pipeline.
That's something that it's one of those kind of recommendations for a cadence that would probably help you stay on track for scaling. Do it or don't do it, you'll grow at that pace. And so we were just hungry to make a difference in our situation. And so it's really not that difficult to reach out to 10 properties when you think about how many properties are being posted for rent on Facebook Marketplace, Trulia, Zillow, whatever. It's really not that difficult if you put focus into it.
So just from a time commitment standpoint, just on an average day, between the two of your efforts, how much time are you guys allocating to this?
To reaching out to people?
Or
just total. Yeah.
I don't know.
An hour?
Maybe an hour.
2,
yeah.
maybe.
And we're not reaching out to people every day still. Like we're in different, when we were wanting to get more units, which we're wanting to get more units, but when we were like in the,
what about the ramp up period when you guys were just getting, on fire, right out, hot out of the coaching? Approximate time per week.
I mean, prospecting, even when we were like hitting it hard in the beginning, I'd say maybe 2 hours if we're, trying to put a lot of emphasis on specific deals to reach out to versus just blasting anything that's available. But again, they provide to you, this is what you should say. This is how you should say it. These are commonly asked questions, and this is what you'll need to know. I mean, it's like we didn't have to think a lot about what to do when we were ready to go. So it was like plug and play. So it really does not take a lot of time with what they provide you with.
Yeah.
And so you guys, they're showing you how to identify the properties, where to identify them, what to say to them. You're getting all of the scripts, all of the constructs, the back end, all of that's involved with the coaching.
100%. Yeah. And then, obviously it's a script. So like things change when you're actually having a dialogue, and they're totally open and available. Especially for Rachel.
Well, yeah, because if I'm reaching out to a landlord and the landlord fires something back that isn't in their frequently asked questions, I'm like, hey guys, what would you say here? This is what I'm thinking. And they're there to help me draft that response,
Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys are building your own empire. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because you have that back and support from people that have been doing this for years. Guys, that's just so critical in success. You're not having to go out there and reinvent the wheel. You are learning from someone else's mistakes. Michael and Katrina, I'm sure, will be watching this in the lab, but I'm sure they made them all. I've made about every mistake that I can in business, but if I can give other people the ability to learn from my mistakes without having to make them themselves, that's what being a mentor and these coaching programs are all about, and they help you reduce that learning curve. So you guys touched earlier on short and long-term goals. Before that, guys, if you are watching, you are interested, you want more information, you want to have a conversation with Michael and Katrina, go ahead and email BNB Bootcamp at BIPfinancialeducation.com. We'll drop that link below. Include your first, your last name, the best phone number to reach you at, and conversation at the subject line. They'll get back in touch with you right away. So, and the preliminary call, as you guys said, that they talked about goal setting. So if you guys don't mind sharing in the short-term rental space, you guys are a year in, from the outset, what were your kind of short and your long-term goals? And, a year in, it sounds like you guys have already achieved at least your initial short-term goal, which was that 4 to 5 house range. It sounds like you guys are going to be at 6. What do those goals look like?
Yeah, well, the first one for sure is to hit 10, because at 10 that replaces her income with some cushion. Like we have a guy actually had a conversation with the guy today about furnishings for a really nice place in Orlando, probably our nicest place actually in Orlando, and then another one going live probably in about a month, and then the landlord with the triplex wants to move out and then have us run the 3rd unit at the end of the year too. So that right there would be 7. So the goal is 10 for sure, which is going to happen. First goal, and then we'll go from there. Our goal is probably to double every year.
I think, yeah. And initially we were like, I want to get our first unit within a month. Like I want to hit the ground running. I want to prove that this is doable. And the first one is the hardest one, I think, for any new venture, sure. And to see that, oh my gosh, we did it. We hit that initial goal. It built a lot of confidence in what we were capable of doing. And so now seeing that goal of getting 5 to replace my income, which can open up a world of options for us, 10 almost feels really small, when at the time it felt like, oh my God, 10 units, that's crazy.
Right.
And we got, how many times do you think we got told no before the first one?
Oh, I mean, you just, you can't even count.
It was 10 a day each for a month.
It doesn't matter,
a lot.
But it helped us see what really is possible, because once you get that first one, you kind of understand what you're doing and what really goes into the maintenance of it. It's not that time consuming, which shows that we could expand probably bigger than we had given ourselves credit for. So that's kind of where our mind is transitioning a year later, is okay, how much bigger do we want to go?
Yeah. So when you guys are having those conversations with Michael and Katrina, are you guys just kind of sharing what you're looking for? Are they helping kind of shape what those goals could or should look like? And let's talk about the scalability of that. I'm a scale guy. I've done that my entire career in business, and there's something that I love about that. Growing something. It sounds like you guys want to do the same thing. Is that part of the coaching? Is the sky's the limit? I mean, is it just literally rinse and repeat, copy and paste, whether it's 5 units or 50?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, stuff changes. Obviously, you're as your infrastructure grows, there's more to learn. There's obviously we're going to need their help at some point again, once we get to a certain level where we need VAs and different people, different boots on the ground, and if we're in different cities. As far as setting goals, they never really told us what we should do, what our goals should be, but they always encouraged us that we could do whatever we wanted and to always think bigger. Don't limit yourself by your own thoughts. Don't limit yourself by what you think is possible. Whatever you think you can do, you can probably double it. And so they never told us specifically what to do, but they told us always that we could do better than what we were doing.
And I think something that's really helpful is that, the initial commitment from them to us, or them to any new trainee, is you get 4 months of every single day immediate access. And then after that, it's kind of we're available as needed, but they're also trying to build an empire and help other people get started. But you have access to the BNB course indefinitely. So as the industry changes, as new updated softwares come out, as better practices come out, they're letting us know. They're making sure that all of their students who have ever worked with them are up to date on what they are doing personally in their business, what has helped them hit new levels. It's we're still being trained. It's just not necessarily on a one-on-one Zoom call every week, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that communication. It is very, very, very detailed. And I know that they've developed just a tremendous community of folks just like you guys. And, there's a lot of that crosstalk, folks that have never met, that everyone's kind of sharing in everyone else's successes. So we love that camaraderie in business, of course. So do you think it met your expectations? Did it exceed your expectations? Obviously, you had some trepidations maybe going in. You guys pulled the trigger. It's a year later. Would you give them an A?
Yes. I think, anybody who, you have to know, it's an investment. It is an investment. It's not here, sign up for free and, you know, you're going to become a millionaire. But it is an investment that if you want to do something different, we will pour ourselves into you to help you accomplish that. And so in that sense, I think it's 100% worth it, because we actually have friends who have gone into the Airbnb business on their own, and seeing the difference between how we started and how equipped we felt versus flying by the seat of your pants and, you know, hoping to make something happen. It gives me confidence to be like, yep, we made the right decision. That would have been super hard,
really hard,
super hard to go the solo route.
And time, like how much time it would have taken us. We would have learned it, but it would have taken us, we would still be learning. Like I mean, where we are now, we are still learning, but like and going through the course, the amount of detail that's in that course, I can't imagine how much time that it took them to develop all that. But that saves us years.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're paying for, is you're paying for time. You can learn it by yourself. You can learn it from your own actions, or you can learn from someone else. And I'll just rather pay someone else's actions and learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes can be very, very costly. We always talk here about, getting mentorships on the channel so that you're learning from folks that have already gone down that path before, so you can avoid kind of those pitfalls that you guys were talking about. So let's talk money real fast. Now, we touched on it earlier. So you've got the 4 properties now. What's going to be your monthly net cash flow on those 4 approximate?
Assuming the new one does as well as the one the previous, anywhere from probably $5,000 a month. Now we're not taking all that. We want to keep building our business, so we take a little bit of that, but we keep most of it stockpiling. So if we do have to furnish another place, if we have to do something else, we want to keep that snowballing until the point where we don't have to anymore.
But you're recognizing $5K per month, and whatever you guys do with that is what you do with it. But you're recognizing right now $5,000 a month in cash flow, less than a year in or a year into this endeavor. If you get that 5th and 6th, which it sounds like you guys are close on, what would that look like on a monthly basis then?
That'd probably add another $3,000 to $4,000 easily.
Okay, so you're close on those.
That's something that we see too, is obviously heads in beds. That's a phrase that you'll learn in this industry. And so we have kind of switched our focus from getting away from the smaller units to more of like the 3-4 bedrooms. We just see this, obviously you can charge more, they perform better for the groups and the clientele that we're interested in. And so those tend to bring in a lot more revenue than, our 2-1, for instance.
Sure. These might be our biggest ones for sure. Like there'll be the one's a 4-4, and then the other one is, I think, is a 4-bedroom pool house by the beach. So that should do pretty good.
That should do well.
Yeah. Those are phenomenal numbers, less than a year. And so guys, spoiler alert, there is a cost associated with getting involved in BNB Bootcamp. They'll talk to you about that. I know that they do have some payment options and some financial options as well, if that's something that you need. It is less than $10,000. And guys, that is all in. And you guys are walking testimonials right now that in less than a year, you guys are going to be recognizing on the low end 60 and on the high end about $90,000 per year in cash flow off less than a $10,000 investment in this BNB Bootcamp. Guys, that math makes sense. Every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So, if you are on the sidelines right now, guys, this is real. These guys have gone through the coaching. They're doing these numbers right now. If someone's on the fence and they're maybe deciding on whether or not to move forward with this, Jesse and Rachel, what kind of advice would you give them?
Do it.
Now or never.
Yeah. I mean, if you're to the point where you're considering something, you're watching these videos, like it would be in your best interest just to make it happen.
100%. Unless you're in Orlando. I wouldn't do it if you're in Orlando.
Yeah. It doesn't work in Orlando, right? It doesn't work in Orlando. Yeah, it doesn't work down there. Guys, we certainly appreciate your time. As always, everyone go out there and do your own due diligence. We continue to bring them back here on the channel because we believe in them. We get testimonial after testimonial like these folks that we've got on here today. If you're even considering that this may be a good fit for you, it will not hurt to just email, talk to Michael and Katrina, see if it's a good fit. At the end of that conversation, you may say, nope, it's not for me, or you may dive in head first, but you're never going to know unless you reach out and have that combo. Email bnbbootcamp@vipfinancialeducation.com. include your first, your last name, the best number to reach you at, and conversation in the subject line, and someone from their team will reach out to you right away to see if it's a good fit. So Jesse and Rachel, thanks for joining us here today. Do you mind if we check back in with you here in a couple months and potentially bring you back here on the channel to give updates?
That'd be awesome.
It'd be great.
I'd love to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are a great success story. I love hearing stuff like this. We will continue to bring folks back here on the channel. They're going to represent BNB Bootcamp well, guys. They made the move, they took action, and they are getting the results right now. So see you guys on the next video. Thanks for joining us here today.
Bye.